I'm just going to go ahead and start before I forget. Get all of Adam's top option strategies in one simple training and learn how he finds trades looking to print money every week. QR code is at the top of the screen. Adam, happy Thursday. How are you?
Good, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing all right, but 2% better every day here. We've already bottomed, so it's only up from here. Look, I'm going to definitely ask you about tariffs. I'm definitely going to ask you about NVIDIA, but I would rather start here with CoreWeave because the last time that we had you on, I think you were telling us, was it a Condor that you had put on for CoreWeave? You had some option trade. You needed it to stay in a particular level. Can we talk about that? How did you handle that? Because CoreWeave has gone absolutely insane recently.
Oh yeah, that was a losing trade. I put on the Condor and CoreWeave, and I kept rolling up the bullish side because that's what the premium kept dissipating. So I ended up only losing like a couple thousand on it. My only regret is everyone was so against CoreWeave. I kept saying it's a contrarian play, which is why it was a somewhat bullish trade to begin with. Except for the fact that it ran through my bear side of the Condor, like by everything, and there was no salvaging that. So, but I've been long a lot of Core Z, which works with CoreWeave.
Okay.
Overall, it worked out, but what an incredible! I wonder if it's a short squeeze or it's going to stay up there. It's interesting though.
Yeah, so you're hitting exactly what we talk about here on a regular basis with CoreWeave. First of all, I appreciate you sharing how you actually handled that. It was good to hear you how you put that trade on the first time. Thank you for the update. The question that our group has here every day, or we talk about every day, is where's the short spot, right? Is this due for a regression back to the mean? Can we short this here? I actually think there were a couple of folks that were trying earlier this week. Didn't go well. We've kept trading up here. So what's the next move here? Do we kind of just wait and see if it wants to push higher, or do we try a regression back to the mean?
You know, it's funny, Ryan. It's like I have a black and blue and I come on and you're just naturally pushing it like without on purpose. But like, so CoreWeave.
Sorry, man.
No. So literally I could tell you like my last 3 days. You ever get when you're in trading and you're just off balance? On Thursday last week, I could go back to Thursday last week. I was in everything I was touching was going great. In my group, I put on a trade in PCT, Pure Cycle. We made over 100%. I'm like, anything I touch turns to gold. And I saw CoreWeave. It was around it had come from 115 down to 113, 112. I bought a 105 put, but just a little bit, just to watch it and see what happens. And it dropped points. So like the 2 contracts I have were worth $500. At that point, I was like, oh, this is the end of CoreWeave. And instead of getting out and taking my $500, I bought bigger size puts on CoreWeave. I came in Friday. If you remember Friday, the market was down big. CoreWeave opened, it was trading down 6 points at 9:30. At 9:30 in 10 seconds, it was up 2 points. And at that point, I was like, oh, no. Like, when you come in with puts on the one thing that's up when the market's getting killed, you're like, I'm done. I'm completely off balance. So that happened to me on Friday in CoreWeave. Monday, I came in. I tried again to put puts on it. Lost again. And at that point, I was like, I am done. So you're asking me about the stock that literally put me in a bad mood for 3 days because I tried to like fight with it and I lost and I've given up. Honestly, it's too dangerous right now and it moves too fast for me that I can't. So
okay. So first of all, I'm definitely sorry for poking the bear or making the bruise worse. That's for sure. But what you just covered here should be extremely helpful for our group. Folks, even some of the best traders out there are going to end up getting a trade that doesn't work. How you handle that and move on is really what's going to define you. So CoreWeave, looks like we're going to be waiting this out. At least you were able to catch something there with Core's CORZ that works with CoreWeave. All right, can I ask you about NVIDIA, or is that also a bad one?
No, I had bull puts on NVIDIA that literally I sold a 70-30 spread when it was below 100. And so that worked out well. And I put it on months out. I actually closed it ahead of earnings for like 10 cents because it was over. But, you know, I mean, I was just listening to something. It's interesting, like The only thing to watch out for in NVIDIA that's still uncertain and hasn't been factored into the price is that that new chip not being allowed in China. So apparently, like whatever the last administration approved for China, this administration is not, and it would be a $50 billion lost opportunity. So I know the stock's trading up, but I do think there's some clouds over it.
Yeah, and one of the things that we have been talking about, there's a lot of clouds over NVIDIA. You're right about the chip. They have talked about releasing maybe a less powerful chip. We had a discussion about that in Happy Hour yesterday, and that actually might hurt NVIDIA in the long run because China is likely going to go away from that chip at some point. We also had a whole bunch of other stories here about the graphics card division really not producing good products. There being undeniable quality and assurance issues from NVIDIA that might actually spread to the AI Blackwell chip as well. That's something that we're just going to kind of need to wait out. And then we also recently, we've heard about NVIDIA really trying to control the narrative by getting poor reviews removed for some of their products. None of this is really good. All of this kind of contributes to the dark clouds above it. And I just said before you got on here, I think despite this print, the better trade is actually going to be in other names, not necessarily NVIDIA. I am encouraged, I suppose you could say, to see it trading above 141 here. We had this 140 to 141 marked off as an extremely significant spot. We saw some resistance there in the after hours. We're popping above that. So I'll see where this goes here today. Congrats on the bullish option trade that you had on it. Are you planning another trade here on NVIDIA, either long or short?
No, I'm not going to trade NVIDIA post earnings. I'm not in the mood to deal with the ebbs and flows right now. You mentioned the tariffs and that court ruling. Did you see the court ruling today?
I sure did.
I hate that.
Yeah, me too.
We were winning in this high stakes poker game. Everybody was coming to the table. They were going to be happy to walk away with us having tariffs on and nothing changing on our side. We were going to get a lot of money. And the courts just went against him. I don't know why it's being treated as good news in the market. I'm battling with myself whether I want to trade for a reversal today because I so feel like this was like we should have just had his back. Like the courts going against us here is terrible in my opinion. And it's like why is our own country hurting him when he's winning these negotiations? It's terrible.
Yeah, it really is. Emotions they're a hell of a drug. That's really what this comes down to quote Rick James. There was also a piece of news here this morning. China applauds the U.S. court ruling striking down the Trump era tariffs, calls on the U.S. to lift all tariffs. What does that say if China's applauding it?
That it was anti-American.
Exactly. The other thing that we did hear, it's kind of flying under the radar here today, but it does appear that there's some good news coming out of the India negotiations. Looks like that's still on. Adam, my big thing here is, does this mean that we're at the end of the day going to walk away with less here? It's tough to see. It's definitely disappointing. This is what I will say. I suspect this is already, the administration has said that they're already going to appeal this, and I would imagine that this gets thrown out. Now, as far as the market goes here, I think the market might actually be showing its hand here. It popped overnight because it just doesn't like tariffs, but it's actually bleeding back here today. So we've had a fairly weak pre-market, all market here today. So let's just kind of stick on this. How are you going to approach this today? And if you're unsure or if you kind of want to wait, that's a fine answer too. How are you going to look at the market action today, and how is that going to dictate what you're going to trade next?
So I'm already leaning bearish because of my reaction to the tariffs, but I get myself into trouble sometimes when I come in with a predetermined direction, because really the best traders want to, for what we do, if it's not fundamental trading, we want to take what the market gives us. I'm also going away tomorrow to Pebble Beach.
Oh man.
So I also want to make sure I don't leave the day with some big positions that I have to watch on the airplane tomorrow. So I am going to try to be light today. But I will say this. It is interesting. I'm looking at the comment section because you have so many, such a big audience, which is awesome. And it really does seem like it's a mixed opinion. Like a lot of people in the comments seem to think that they're happy that they ruled against the tariffs. It's interesting. I wonder because
I was just going to say it's extremely interesting. The way I look at this is that I am blessed. I shouldn't even say I am. We are all blessed that we have varying opinions. To me, that's what makes a better trader here, and I think that's actually one of the positives of this show, not the negatives of the show. And it's also why we run polls so often, and why I beg people to please vote in those polls, because I love getting input from both sides on that. So I'm a huge proponent of it. I like it. I think it actually makes us all better.
It is interesting. So yeah, I mean, but I think this. Let's just look at it from a trading perspective, without even discussing the pro con of tariff. Listen, I understand it really can be argued both sides. I do think that us having tariffs on other countries is fair, since we've always been tariffed. Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. Everyone agrees on that.
Sure.
But I'll also take the idea that we make so much on selling our technology that it offsets whatever tariffs they put on other stuff. So it's not a big deal. So I can take both sides. I understand that. What I think the bigger deal is, as a market trader, which has me reacting so negatively, and honestly, like, usually when you hear something, you expect the market to react a certain way. Doesn't it create more uncertainty, longer uncertainty, court battles, things going on? The longer we have uncertainty, the worse it is for the market. The more we have certainty, the better it is. So I think at a minimum, there's uncertainty when now we have our own courts ruling against it. And how long does that take to play out?
No question. No question about that. And I think the reaction that you're seeing here this morning is kind of indicative of that. Okay. Is there anything that you are kind of stalking right now, or looking to enter? Or what are you going to do? I guess if you're leaving, maybe not a whole lot.
I have some positions on, my favorite stock, which is actually stalled a little bit, so I'm not adding to it at all. But Uber has kind of stalled here. I've been trading this WeRide. It actually moves around a lot. It's a lot of fun. I've been trading the MVST hit new highs, that Microvast, that battery stock I told you about on here. The Core Z has been good to me. SoundHound's actually been fun to trade.
Now, this is interesting. SoundHound had an NVIDIA stake that has been completely dissolved. It appears that this company is standing on its own. I really wanted to see how this traded after the NVIDIA print, with it now being completely disconnected. And it actually, to me, it kind of looks like it traded in sympathy with NVIDIA. We are running up to a pretty important trend line here. So maybe we are going to be at a decision point here in SoundHound. I've got this at 1110 here in the pre-market. Trend line that we really need to get over here today is going to be 1150, 1140-ish. SoundHound might actually be an interesting trade here today.
I don't know. It's hard to chase up here, right? It's hard to chase where we are, like from where we were like a month ago. It's harder and harder to pull the trigger the more up we go. I don't know.
Indeed it is. And actually, one of the things that I have been doing is I've been going after some individual names that have been really beaten down. One of the really good examples here is going to be the Trade Desk. I have been following I don't know if I've told you this. I told Scott this. I have been following this since Red Dog had been talking about Trade Desk. I feel like a couple of years ago. He was the one that put this on my radar. We've really been kind of waiting out this bottoming process. And now I do think we might actually challenge this gap. This from like 85 to 118. I'd love for us to get in there and see if there's a trade there. I've been kind of focusing on things like this, individual names, as opposed to staying away from some of the broader sector names. And Trade Desk has been good. Chewy's been good. Google was amazing. I still think there's going to be a move in some of these cybersecurity, but I'm not positioned for it yet. Judge, I bought Trade Desk at 60. Let's go. There you go.
Eric, you got Eric in the comment. I kind of agree with what Eric said, by the way. Eric, go. By the way, I interviewed Redler for like an hour and a half last week, and I'd go back like over 20 years with him. And so they put us on a call together, and there were like 3,000 people. And the first 30 minutes, we were just catching up, and they're like, guys, because like I hadn't spoken to him so long, but we had a lot of fun. But it's funny how like differently we trade. He's more patient than me. So while we were on there, he put on trades in like Amazon. He liked on the Bill Ackman Pershing Square News. and RR, that robotics company, and literally like yesterday he's texting me like, "Oh, Amazon RR working out. You still in them?" I'm like, "Still in them. I haven't looked at them in 3 days. No, I was out of them right away." Our timelines are so different, and it's funny because I think we're both really good traders, but we like our approach is clearly different. Like he's stuck around for that, and I literally like I had completely forgotten about it.
But that's important too, right? Because there's more than one correct way to do this. I think that's one of the things that actually makes trading so awesome. You don't have to trade the same thing or trade the same way in order to be successful. Really quickly here, any thought on serve? I know you're talking about I talked a little bit about robotics this morning. You brought up RR Rich Tech Robotics. Serve, another one of those that likes to move with some of these robotic stocks.
I haven't seen that one. Let me see. What's it? 13? I don't know. I don't know a lot about it. Is it worth watching?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. This has been in play a number of days just because it's had some PR in the morning and it's really kind of excited it. But the more I think about robotics, the more I think there's probably going to be a longer term play in here. As far as the stock goes, we recently tested the 200, consolidated right around it, and then broke above it. So part of me wonders if there's any more room up here. We are at a previous resistance level. I think maybe we'll probably get to another one here. 50. We got a gap on the chart from 15 to 19. Maybe we can test that here. I don't have it. I do follow it when we get some robotic news, but I figured I'd just ask since you mentioned Rich Tech.
No, I'll start watching it now. I like good ideas, so I appreciate that.
Yep, no problem. Anything else that you want to cover here before we get? And by the way, I have to ask, what are you doing in Pebble Beach? You going to play some golf? You going 16, for a buddy's?
16 guys, Ryder Cup style, 4 rounds.
Can I bet on it? Can I bet on your team?
You should, yeah. I think my teams will do well. And I've been like practicing every day, like ready to go.
I can't even put into words how jealous I am that you get to do something like this. I got 100 on Adam's team for this little tournament that you got.
Thanks,
definitely have a good time there. I actually have a buddy going for his 40th birthday next year to Pebble Beach. I am trying to get on that trip so badly. You'll have to let me know.
Yeah, how that goes. One of my other friends invited me to go. He's like, "I'm planning a trip to Pebble for my birthday. Do you want to come?" And I was like, "Yeah, could I invite some friends too? Because I'm never going to plan that for myself." And it's like, yeah. So I was allowed to invite 6 of the 16 guys.
That's awesome.
It was fun. But yeah, I will. While that thing's up there, I will tell the people because we've had a bunch of people come on, and I only have one service. I used to have like 10 for 20 years. Now I just have that one Mesh Prime, and I can make any trade in at any time, which is fun. And usually it's almost all premium collection. So it's at its highs. It hasn't even been down even when the market was getting killed. But coming off that PCT trade up over 100%, we have some really good, exciting trades on in there if people want to check it out for sure.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Get all of Adam's top option strategies in one simple training and learn how he finds trades looking to print money each and every week. Adam, you and the rest of your T3 compadres do a great job. We really appreciate it here. Enjoy your vacation, and I look forward to catching up with you next time.